Alright guys, so today in this video I'm going to be sharing with you guys the 6 key levers we use to go from $15,000 per month to $300,000 per month. And this is not going to be a boring PowerPoint. This is going to be a detailed explanation of how we went from $15,000 to $300,000 per month in 3 years. We did this completely virtually as well. We were able to travel. We were able to do all kinds of different things that we wanted to do. So I'm going to share with you guys exactly what 6 things I believe were pivotal. Like without them, we would never have been able to do this exact same thing. So basically, they're going to look pretty obvious. They don't look like there's that crazy, but there's more context to each one of them, I promise. So number 1 is finding a private money lender, generating tons of leads for cheap, optimizing our CRM, leveling up our team always doing that, implementing novations, and then implementing performance improvement plans. So basically to walk you guys through finding private money lenders. When we did this, we were doing about $15,000 to $30,000 per month, give or take. And we had some friends who were flippers and had some friends who were making these big spreads on these deals in Atlanta. That's where we started, right? And we were just doing wholesale fees. I think our average deal size at the time was like $15,000. I'm like, dude, like how do we start doing that? Like I know if we buy some of these houses, they're like home run deals. So what we did was we took one of our deals that we thought was a home run. It was honestly a cat piss duplex. It had tons and tons of, it was honestly a terrible house, but we thought it could make like $100,000 if we flipped it. Now, did we have any flipping experience? No, of course not. We didn't know our left from our right, but at the time we knew this guy who was more than happy to take the deal on, go 50-50 with us. And he was going to bring all the money. We were going to bring the deal, and we got him to agree to give us his private money lender's contact. Now, at the time, for context, we'd sold this guy several deals, so he made tons of money off of us, which is completely fine. That's what we were doing as wholesalers, right? So we did the deal. I think we ended up making like the total spread was about $80,000 to $90,000, and we got the private money lender's contact. Now, what is important about this is what this allows you to do. It gives us the ability to take a $20,000, $30,000 wholesale assignment fee and make $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 on it every single time. So obviously, at the time when we got this, Open Door was buying like crazy. This was 2021. This was like peak Open Door mayhem. And dude, we made probably $1 million off of Open Door by selling them stuff that never should have been sold. We were like hacking the system. We literally would, like, we had our boy Brady, who was our rep, and like their process was like submit an offer, and we got an offer before we closed, right? We got an offer basically as soon as we got the contract signed. And we were like, oh my God, that's like $200,000 above our contract price. We're like, that's crazy. You know, it's way above Zillow, it's everything. So we literally would go through the entire process Open Door had, pictures. So we do a video walkthrough, do the pictures, everything they need to where they could get their final offer. They would go do an exterior inspection, all of that before we'd actually close. And we'd get the final offer before we bought the house. But since we had private money, like, because we had to buy the house for like 2 weeks, like we didn't have our own capital to like go and buy a $300,000 house at the time. So we had the private money lender where we could do like 3, 4, 5 of these deals at a time. Like this is huge. Like we literally made so many $70K rips on houses that we should have probably lost money on looking back at it, right? So one of the houses we actually did do on this is like at the end of the Goldilocks period. We lost like $4,000 on because it was a complete hoarder house. It was a lake on a lake, so it was kind of hard to comp, and we lost a couple grand on it, and it was what it was. But another one actually, Open Door, kind of screwed us too. But long story short, we lost like maybe $7,000 total in this process. We definitely made, like I could count it up, but we definitely made over $750K just because of Open Door's crazy prices. But having a private money lender allowed us to take advantage of this. And still today, when we look at a deal, we don't wholesale it. Why would we wholesale it? Let's just wholesale it and make 60 or 70 or 80. Like it makes no sense why we would ever make a wholesale deal, do an assignment, unless we just absolutely have to. So maybe like 1 in 20 deals in an assignment. So that's why you need to find a private money lender. And that's a little bit about how you can do it. And there's plenty of other ways you can do it. You can go look up security deeds of trust and like try to find individual names and skip trace these people. That's not here what I'm here to tell you to do. Partner with a flipper who you know, like, and trust. Tell them they bring all the money, you bring the deal, and then they give you access to their private lender. Worst case scenario, by doing a couple of these deals, like I think most hard money lenders, it's 3 deals, and having a HUD where you actually purchase the house, that's going to give you the ability to start to get good terms with them and not have to bring tons of money to the table. So go ahead, do that. It's literally going to change your life. It was the biggest thing we did, the biggest leverage piece we did in increasing our deal size. Most of you guys have been watching my YouTube channel for quite a while now and probably know that I have an accelerator program that's made for people who want to pay to grow their business faster. And after working with over 150 clients in the last 2 years, what we've done is we've redone the entire product so that we've been able to streamline success for our clients. And this new streamlined product in the first 3 months has created 7 businesses to hit their first $100,000 per month. And so since we've helped over 150 clients scale their wholesale business to multiple 6 and multiple 7 figures per year. We've been able to really see what works, and we just redesigned our entire product to create a copy and paste system that our clients are using to scale their businesses extremely quickly. There's gonna be things like, getting KPIs installed, getting your sales process going, having the MLS strategy installed, hiring an admin, hiring a lead manager, how to onboard these people, and just having a copy and paste system. And then we also are gonna take you through getting your financials in order so you have a lot of clarity on like what your business actually does. So you're not stressed on how you spend money and where the marketing money goes and when's it coming back and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna take you through exactly how to hire a copy and paste strategy on how to hire your first acquisition manager, because I know that's the hardest part of business, is getting yourself out of that sales seat. So we take you through that, how to onboard that person, etc. How to do the same thing for Dispo, how to do the same thing for TC, whatever it may be. And then obviously there's plenty of other like straight up copy and paste SOPs that you would get as part of the program. And these copy and paste SOPs will change the foundation and the infrastructure of your business forever. And basically the entire goal is to pair you guys with a one-on-one coach who actually does the business at a very high level, that they're able to help you implement these things perfectly in your business. That's going to make the difference for you being where you're at to where you want to be. And so I'll keep it brief, but if this is something that you are remotely interested in and how we would scale your company to $100,000 per month, allowing you to work less, then all you need to do is go down below this video, click the link below, fill out some brief info, and show up to that call. With that being said, we will hop right back into the video. All right, number 2 is generating a ton of leads for cheap. So if your team drowns in leads, like a lot of people are worried about efficiency and they're so concerned with like, I want to make sure every one of my leads get touched. Well, if you generated 1,000 leads a month, like, do you think you would close more deals or less deals or the same? Or do you think you'd have better opportunities to pick through if you had to go through each lead? Yeah, of course. So one of the things we did, and this was kind of by accident, this is actually like what I really focused on when I first started doing this, is like, how do we get a ton of leads for cheap, right? So my idea was, let me look at all the data and see where are all our deals coming from. So I basically back engineered all of the closed deals that we'd ever done at the time, right? And so maybe it was like 20. And basically reverse engineered everything. We said, all right, well, what's creating these deals? Like, what was the text conversation? What was the cold call conversation? What was all this stuff like? And I realized that it all was almost like, it was like mostly all the same. It's like, had the same couple replies, like the same, like, yeah, sure, here's a phone number, call me, yes, make me an offer. So they were saying something like that. Like, okay, so those are all leads. Then I looked at our process, like, well, one, we're not sending all those people to CRM. And then I realized, like, if SMS is the exact is that way, and then cold call, we're going through this long qualification script just to maybe send people through, we should just like change all of that. So boom, day 1, we got way more leads. We probably doubled our lead flow from just going through, auditing our text, auditing our calls, changing the lead criteria to just anyone who's interested in selling to push that to our CRM. We got more deals. Then once we had a little bit more data, I realized, oh my gosh, like sometimes we send a list and we just get way more leads. So then I ran a full audit. I was like, okay, well, what's all of our campaigns? And I ran all of our campaigns through this metric that I call like an efficiency metric. So think of like batting average, right? But for cold call, but for texting. And I was like, okay, well, what kind of lists produce really good results for cold call? What kind of lists produce really good results for texting? And then I just said, all right, so this text per lead's like 100. This hours called per lead is like less than 1. These lists, let's just pound them. And what happened was we got way more leads by just texting a list that in general got better results. And so it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be like every time you send this list, you're going to get twice as many leads. But in general, if you're going directionally accurate, you're going to get way more leads. So that's the one thing I would say is to look at is like, how do you just get so many leads in the system for cheap that it just works? And this actually kind of goes into another piece that we did. I actually didn't even put this on there because I've already talked about it in the past, but we opened up a new market. And anytime you open up a market that you've never gone into, because you're going to get so many leads because you've never talked to anyone there. So it's like the first time you're texting, the first time you're calling, first time you're mailing, first time you're doing anything there, you're going to get so many leads for so much cheaper. So like in Metro Atlanta, there's this, the city, there's like mainly like 6 or 7 counties that are totally in the metro within an hour radius of downtown. And we were only doing like 2 at the time. And I was like, okay, well, let's just like start hammering these other places. And dude, like I remember one day we were only sending like 2,500 texts a day. We got 46 leads. It was unbelievable. I was like, holy shit, like how do we do that? Like obviously like that was the glory days, but that's the same exact thing we saw when we opened up a new market. When we opened up the market in Texas, which again, we spent 25 grand to make 600, we were getting about 45 to 50 texts per lead. Think about that. We sent 1,000 texts. What was that? 1,000 divided by 50, you get 20 leads. That's insane, dude. That's like unbelievable. That costs you like $5 or less a lead. What I'm saying here is focus on getting tons of leads for cheap, but also just as a caveat, make sure these leads are not trash. because this is one of the things I messed up on is we started getting tons of like crappy land leads or tons of really rural leads because like I promoted a marketing director. They just didn't work out because they took the same ideology but started like pushing stuff that shouldn't have been pushed, and like leads that were like worth like we might as well burn them, right? We don't need those leads in the CRM. So make sure like every lead that does come in the CRM is exactly one that you do want and you're excited about it. So it's a property you like, and it's somewhere in a location that you love. So we found 2 to 4 bedroom baths. This is a nugget for you guys. 2 bedroom to 4 bedroom properties were 98% of all of our revenue for millions and millions and millions of dollars. That's kind of huge. All right, optimizing our CRM to have 4 lead managers. So now that you have tons of leads, you need to make sure these leads are organized in a way that's going to be conducive to like calling them and not wasting tons of time. So that's why we set up a very simple flow. I'm gonna walk you guys through exactly how this works, right? So just listen carefully. We have a lead manager. When a lead comes in, they call them. On that call, the lead manager is going to basically have 2 options. When they call them, the seller's gonna answer or they're not gonna answer. If the seller does not answer, which is the majority of the time, 80% of the time, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna move that lead to what we call working. And working status is an area where our leads are just going to get absolutely pounded with automated drip campaigns every single day and called every single day 6 times a day for the first week, right? So we want to really, really hound these people for the first 7 to 14 days. And that's going to get you in contact with way more people over the long. So that's one thing we did to optimize our CRM. The other thing we did was once they do have the conversation, we don't have any lead ownership in the system. Everything's free for all in the entire system except hot follow-ups. So if I talk to someone, the only way I get to keep it, and it's my lead, is if I set them to an appointment, or if it's someone who should be an appointment, but for whatever reason, like maybe not everyone can show up to the appointment, maybe it's going through probate, maybe the timeline's like way too far out, then that's a hot follow-up. And if you mismanage your hot follow-ups, someone's going to check every single week and you lose access on a weekly basis if you don't manage your leads perfectly. So basically what this allowed us to do is to bring in a lot of lead managers because we have so many leads in our CRM that they can just cold call through there and set appointments, right? They're just going to maximize our CRM, but also they're incentivized to set appointments because if they don't, they're going to lose access to their best leads. And if they don't manage their best leads correctly, then they're going to lose access to those as well. And so that's how we keep our follow-up super, super tight by having automations on everyone, right? Everyone who is not an appointment, not a hot follow-up, has an automated drip text. Like we're contacting everyone in 30 days, every 30 days, no matter what. But keep that side organized. And then all the people who we've never contacted, those are our best leads. So like if you look in your working status, we know that, hey, if we set an appointment, for every 100 texting leads, it's a deal. So if it's 100, and maybe it's like 96, right? But for every 100 texting leads, it's a deal. So if I look in my working status, the people I've never talked to, and I have 100 people in there, I have a deal. That's one deal in there. Maybe not exactly every time, but I know if I have 1,000 people in there that I've never talked to, there's a handful of deals in there. So we just want to call that list over and over again because that's where your deals are. If it's cold call, it's like 50 leads to a deal. If it's an inbound source, it's like 25 or less. So like we're going to prioritize our best leads that we've never talked to, call them way more because that's going to be where all the gold is in your system. And so that's how we optimize our CRM to have 4 LMs. This is like 4 LMs when we were like at 15 appointments, and the 4 LMs allowed us to go up to like 30 appointments a week, right? So 15 to 30 appointments a week. So we just doubled our appointment number, and that's a huge boost because if you double your appointments, as you guys know, you're probably going to double your business if you can handle those going on those appointments, giving offers. All right. Number 4 is leveling up our team always. And so what does that mean? So basically when we were below $100,000 per month and even right around $100,000 to $150,000 a month, all we did was look at how do we stop doing all the things we are doing in the business. So every single quarter, every single month, I would look at the accountability chart and look at the task I'm supposed to be doing and figure out how do I get rid of all the low level ones. I would do this all the time. So what I'm doing there is I'm like, how do I optimize myself? And I'm asking myself that question. I'm like, and then I look at my tasks. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. I shouldn't be doing that. Who on my team is capable to taking that task? Like whose role could that be given to, right? Whose job could that like take that new job in, take that new role in? Or maybe I'm holding on to someone else's job and I'm kind of doing their work, but I really shouldn't be. I'm always looking at that because I'm trying to delegate to my team all the time. It forces me to train them all the time. And so I always ask the questions like, why did we have success so quickly? And in my opinion, it was because we were really good at taking anyone and teaching them how to do the things that we were doing in the business. And that's like, exact same reason why Level Up's been so successful. And, we've been able to scale over 25 companies, 100K per month in like a year and a half. Like that's pretty insane, right? So not that many people are getting that kind of results for other people. And we were getting that kind of results for our team as well. We were taking people who were way underqualified and teaching them how to do the job, which did come back to bite us in the butt when we gave them management responsibilities at a high level and tried to scale on that team management. When we were just doing 150 a month, it would have been perfect. It would have kept cruising along. But when we tried to go 300K a month, there's tons of lessons in the management side of it that we completely screwed up on for a while, and it was really painful. But long story short, if you are always trying to delegate all the tasks to your team, then you have to level them up and you have to train them all the time. So I train my team literally multiple times a week for years, every single day. I'm training them on something new because I'm always teaching them something new. And that's allowing them to take over my plate. That's allowing them to do their job better. And if you don't do this, then like honestly, like you're going to be stuck doing all the work yourself. And you have to make sure when you're doing this is like the most critical piece is the book called Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink talks about this a lot. Is like you have to give them full ownership of the actual outcomes. So, if someone's responsible, and I didn't make this mistake early when I delegated marketing, is like someone's responsible for leads and KPIs and all that kind of stuff that goes in it. They're responsible for the outcome of getting leads. And a lot of the things I was doing was I didn't fully let go of that role at all because I just like didn't fully delegate it. I didn't like write everything out I did. I didn't have a roles and responsibility sheet. I didn't like make an onboarding that was proper. I just kind of like winged it and said like, hey, take over some of my stuff. And like, yeah, I screwed up on that. But at the same time, I didn't have to do the work and I just slowly delegated it all out, which I think is also a good thing to do. But make sure you give someone the responsibility of the outcome and don't micromanage them. Really key to always be leveling up your team, always be training them. Number 5, this is number 5, implementing novations. I think a lot of you guys know what novations are. We've been doing them since 2021, so quite a while. We actually had a coach teach us exactly how to do it because we had heard of it. We'd signed up for the Brewer method, but we never really could quite get it. Like his pitches didn't quite work for us. And like, I love Eric Brewer. He's a beast. He's a great guy. The way that he pitched it just didn't work for us because we kept getting the objection of like, oh, this is like a new thing. So like when we bring like, hey, look, you like are, what is he? The retail buyer program or something like that, or whatever his program was, like you should really go with that program. Like we weren't framing it right. It just didn't work. We always get the objection of like, oh, that's something new. I don't need to make a decision now, yada, yada, yada. But when we changed our pitch, because like I asked our sales guy, I was like, dude, like, why can't we get this locked up? He's like, well, I think every time we bring up, a retail program or whatever, they just like, the seller just like gets confused. I was like, okay, well, what do we need for the retail program? Like all we need is access to the property. So I was like, let's just like ask them, tell them we can get them more money if they give us access. And then like that was born the pitch of how we started getting deals and doing novations and did our first one. Literally novations. So our deal size at this point, this is end of 2021. We did 1.8 million that year. Our deal size was $25,000 to $27,000. I don't remember the exact figure, but it was somewhere in there. I think it was February or March. I think it was March 2022 when we started closing all those novations. Our deal size that month was like 47.5K. Literally doubled the business. Like I think that was our month, the biggest month at the time ever, which was like 450 or something like that, 458. It was incredible. It was honestly an insane month. And we literally doubled the business because we doubled the deal size. And like for context, that same month, this is like all the things that were completely screwed up in the business at the point, right? And like where, us as like giving people too much responsibility too early on came to bite us in the ass. But we signed 23 contracts that month and only like 7 monetized. And it wasn't because like a lot of them were bad deals. Most of it is because we didn't have a dispo process in place and there wasn't like enough synergy between the acquisitions and the dispo team. So like the acquisitions team wasn't setting the perfect expectations. The dispo team wasn't like maintaining those expectations. We weren't talking to the buyer to the sellers enough. So people would back out. They would get mad. They're like, why is this listed? It's because like we didn't talk to them. Like we talked to them like once every 2 weeks. So like we implemented to make novations work. We implemented a huge dispo process. Like we went through, spent like 2 weeks overhauling everything. We made it to standard to where we didn't have freaking 20 active transactions for one dispo person. We wanted to keep it between 4 and 6 active deals we were trying to sell. And that was like the sweet spot. So we had to hire another dispo person. And we also made it to where every single seller, we looked at this every week for an entire quarter and counted the number of sellers that we talked to out of active transactions. So made sure we talked to those people every single week, one time at least. And by doing that, we were able to turn it around. Obviously, we had to do tons of training. We trained every single day on like what it was to how to negotiate with sellers, how to negotiate with buyers, how to talk to them, how to do all this kind of stuff, how to hold the frame expectations. And we literally met acquisitions dispo every single week. We met dispo every single day, like just to fix this stuff, right? Because like it creates a ton of problems, but obviously you guys can see like the proof is in the pudding. Our deal size forever went up to like 35K plus. And that's just because novations are so much better. And so if you mix that in with wholetailing and having a private money lender, you're going to be able to have massive fees and not have to do any more deals. So you stay doing 8 to 10 deals a month at 35K a pop instead of 15K a pop, you make way more money. And that's just the reality. So that's what novations did for us. It also allows you to convert more of your leads. I mean, it just increases your ROI. It does everything you need. So if you're not doing them, like start doing them. Number 6, the final one. So this actually kind of goes with the 4 a.m. or LM, excuse me. All our calls per appointment was about 150 calls per appointment. And I don't remember the exact month, but I do remember this was at the turn of the year. I think it was 2021. I think it was the same time we started implementing novations. And this is why like another reason why the business just skyrocketed right then is because we fixed 2 major constraints in the business like simultaneously. But our calls per appointment was 150. So our guys would make about, 100 to 120 calls a day. And they were setting an appointment like not like maybe 3 or 4 appointments a week per person. And so what I did was our our best guy, he was setting like 2 appointments a day. He was like 40 calls per appointment, and where everyone else was like 150. But the team average was like 140 or something like that. So I sat down with everyone individually. I was like, how would I fix this if I was them? So I went and listened to a couple calls, and like there's just like a lot of shit that was wrong with everything that was going on. This is just what happens, right? When you have a new team, everyone's new, no one knows what they're doing. Processes aren't being followed as perfectly as they should. But I sat down and I used my performance plan method of like how to get good at anything. And so it's a 4-step process that I've told thousands of times, but hear it out, is be super clear on your goal, be super clear on where you're at, create a plan to bridge the gap, and then implement said plan, right? And then obviously measure it. You got to measure it. So that's what we did. So basically what we did was I sat down and said, all right, the goal we're going for is 50 calls per appointment. Now, no, our team is at like freaking 150, but I know our best guy's at 40. So I know it's more than possible. So I'm like, I just asked him some things. I got some information from him, knowing like, hey, how did you do it? What do you do differently? And he gave me some information, and then I just went and taught the rest of the team that. So basically, I sat down with each person individually. I think we had 5 lead managers at the time on the team. And I asked them, where's your current calls per appointment? One biggest mistake I ever heard is no one knew their number. So if you played baseball, did you know your batting average? I hope so. If you wrestled or played any other sport that was individual, did you know your win-loss ratio? Did you know your team's win-loss ratio? If you played football, did you know how many rushing yards you had? How many passing yards you had? Like, you knew these numbers because these were KPIs for you in sports. So like, why can we have our sales team not know their KPI, not know their batting average? So I made that very clear. I was like, look, guys, this is the biggest problem I've seen here is you guys got to know your freaking numbers. You got to know your KPIs. Like, great people know their numbers, and that's just the reality. And none of you guys know them. That's my fault. I didn't even let them know they should know it. So that's on me. And I took that blame. But anyway, so we sat down. Each one of them, like I said, it was like 150 calls per appointment. We were trying to get them to 50. I then asked them, like, what's your obstacles? Like your biggest obstacle to set more appointments? Not like how to lower your calls per appointment. No one knows how to do that. But like, how do you set more appointments with the same number of calls you're doing right now? And not everyone knew the answer, right? So the next question I would ask them is, okay, well, when you do talk to people who you feel like are an appointment, you should be set to an appointment. Like, what's the main reason you feel like they don't actually convert? And then they started throwing out tons of reasons. So biggest things was like, I don't follow the process. I feel like I don't have enough rapport. I didn't ask enough about motivation. Maybe I didn't seem as professional enough. Like, whatever it was, those were the types of things that they were throwing out at me. And then what I took from that was, okay, well, if those are your issues, like, what do you think you would do to solve them? This is how we bridge the gap, right? So we obstacles and then plan. And they all gave me an answer that was spot on. I didn't have to like tell them what to do. I just asked them what do they think they should do. And then from there, we said, all right, let's check back in on a month. And the only thing that they all had to do is they had to all review their calls and like put them in this like call review sheet. So I like made sure they did that on a weekly basis. But after we did that, our team number got to like 70 calls per appointment, same number of calls, basically just double the appointments. And one of the guys got to like 35 calls per appointment. He went from 150 to 35. Now he has a wholesale business. He's doing multi 6 figures a year. He's crushing. But he literally went from that guy was like almost about to get fired to being our second best guy. It is incredible to change. So literally, when I say this was a huge lever for us, it doubled our appointments, innovations doubled our deal size. This all happened at the same time. Of course, we had a massive, like it's all obvious, right? And then the next hole in the bucket was Dispo. We fixed that. But these were 6 key huge levers that we had to pull in the business in order to go from $0 to $300,000 per month. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys, getting an inside look at kind of like a little bit about my journey and some of the big things we had to do and struggle and face in our business. So if this was helpful for you and you'd want our direct support and help on replicating the same thing in your business, then just go down below this video, click the link below and book a call with our team. If not, stay tuned to the next video, guys, and I will see you guys there.